Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, I wasn't sure if you're going to get to record this week or not, but I'm glad we are. For episode 164, we're going to talk mainly about Days Gone, I think, unless something else pops up. Who knows? I've actually kind of enjoyed our last few episodes where, while I do like planning ahead and having notes and here's a segment I want to do, I also kind of like just kind of shooting the crap about whatever. About here's what we're playing, here's what's happening.
So what we used to do in the past, and now what we're doing in the present.
Yes, for anyone who missed last week's episode, Derek's description of his various versions of himself, it's not unlike time travel elements from certain movies you may have seen recently. So yeah, the past version, the present, which is also the future. You know, it's very confusing, you know?
The best part is it like just comes out and it's like I'm dead serious, and then I realize how stupid it is as I'm, listening to myself. I'm like, you really believed everything you said, didn't you? You really believe there's a past?
That's why the only response I could have, as someone who's trying to track along with you, and I was trying to support you, all I could say was, "You have the best words." That's all I could think to say.
Yeah,
because you do. You have the best words.
We just wing it.
That's what we do. Yeah, we are. I mean, I know in Florida, you guys probably have soccer season year round, but for us, we're finally hitting spring weather where soccer's happening. So we've got soccer every day except for Sundays here.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yep. So we're very busy with all that stuff. Hey, I just did two what to me feel like manly things around the house, although to most actual men this is nothing.
Yeah.
But I replaced the deadbolt on our front door since our keys were getting all worn down. It was old and needed to be replaced. So I replaced that without calling a locksmith. And I went down and replaced the toilet down in the boys' room. They live in the basement area. It's a full finished basement. They have their own bathroom. And the toilet has been leaking. And we've just been kind of doing something to catch it, trying to tighten it. I replaced, the little water line at one point, kept leaking. So I just replaced the toilet because the tank was leaking. Did it all by myself. Replaced the toilet all by myself.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. Like, I'm not even going to rip on you. Like, I can't even put a bike together, so.
Well, I can't build the bike either. I'm just saying I replaced the toilet. The weirdest thing about toilet replacement is that wax ring. If your toilet like this one has been there for years and you remove it, that wax residue and ring, it's all like black and sticky. It's just really, really gross. But I was pretty pleased with myself for that. It was one of those moments where I just kind of kept telling my wife, like, hey, you need anything else? Because I just did that toilet thing, remember that? She's like, yeah, what else do you want me to say to you here?
She needs to show you some love.
I just needed some recognition that I'm a man and I did a man thing,
I will say most women suck at that. They really do suck at like they think everything is just normal instead of like appreciating the fact that some things are just not normal. It's not that easy. It's not that simple.
Well, I figured that like usually when I try to brag to her, like, babe, just got MVP in Rocket League for the 4th time in a row. What do you think about that? That never does it for her. I thought this time, hey, babe, I did some appliance and plumbing work. I thought that might do it, but no.
And saved you guys money.
Saved us a lot of money. Yeah, I can see why, plumbers and locksmiths, they really make a lot of money on pretty simple tasks, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and this is Monday, we're recording this Monday the 29th, and I had today off because our kids were also off of school, and our weather here in Colorado also just went really wacky. The high today was like 40, and it just started snowing this evening, and it's almost May. It's just one of those.
See, I thought you were talking about the toilet to segue into
Ooh, Days Gone.
Days Gone. I thought you were like, hey, speaking of crap.
Speaking of absolute crap.
Let's talk about that
speaking
Sony
of a fresh
exclusive.
crapper, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
But
anyway.
Before we go into Days Gone, I do want to, I'm not going to talk about like what I've been playing, but just what I've completed real quick.
Yeah.
I finished Borderlands 2. So I wanted to announce that because Jesse White listens to our show. So I want to let him know I didn't wait for you. You weren't around.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's cool that you and Jesse finished it. You ditched him.
No.
Dude.
Jesse is too busy for me, and I
I'm
was
sorry.
like,
That's cold-hearted. That is cold.
but that's me. If you're in a relationship with me, I do me. So if you're not there, you're out.
I feel like I need to apologize to Jesse because the reason Derek ghosts people now is because of me from 2 weeks ago when we were going to record, but I totally ghosted him. And so now he's been doing that to everybody. He's like, well, if Tim does
Exactly.
it, I get to do it.
Yeah, I'm totally ghosting people. But I beat Borderlands 2. I mean, I only had, I think, 2 story. Well, actually, I had more than 2 story missions. Jesse and I had combined 2 story missions, but I was playing off his save. And it's pretty cool that the game does this. It loaded me into the beginning, and once I finished like the intro area, it was like, do you want to skip to the next story mission you haven't already completed? I was like, yes. And so it took me to like a level 12 mission, and then I completed that, and it's like, do you want to skip to the next mission that you haven't completed? And I was like, yes. And it took me to like a level 22. So it knew what I hadn't finished, and so I was just skipping to, because my character was like a level 29, so I could handle all those missions by myself. And so I just skipped through all those, or I didn't skip, I skipped to them, finished them, and then I got to the last 2 story missions, and I completed those on my own. So I played for a couple hours. The experience, it's cool that I played Game of the Year a couple weeks ago, and then I went back to Borderlands 2, because you get to, like, when you play them back to back like that, you really get to see the differences. Like, I remember when Borderlands 2 came out, I was like, I like Borderlands 2 more. And then as time passed, I was like, no, I have more love and better memories for Borderlands. So therefore, Borderlands is my favorite, and that's how I felt. And then when I played Game of the Year, I was like, I really like Borderlands. I think I like it more than Borderlands 2. Now I just went back and played Borderlands 2, and I'm like, oh, I see the differences. Now I can see like the changes that they made.
What's the biggest difference? What's the biggest? Is it the shooting? Is it the
shooting feels better?
Yeah, I think so too.
But they also just fixed a lot of things. Even with the upgraded version of Borderlands, as far as visually, Borderlands 2 still even looks better.
It looks better. I think the menu system, if I remember right, is a little bit easier to navigate.
That's what I'm saying. Like the UI, like a lot of the little things, they just cleaned it up.
Yeah.
I do think the characters in Borderlands 2 are better as well. Just some of them had me laughing. I mean, Claptrap's funny in all the games, but like
he's funnier in the second one though. The first one, he's just kind of dumb for a little while.
Yeah, he's kind of funny, but
in the second one, he's hilarious. In the second one, he's full on like Wheatley from Portal 2 funny. He's really funny.
Yeah, and that to me is the biggest difference. Is they really like owned who they were. They figured out what they were, and they're like, Borderlands 2 were just going to be this crazy, sarcastic, insulting game. So they insult the players. Like I love when I die, and like the robotic lady from Hyperion's like, Hyperion, it's so sad that you die.
Yeah.
But we encourage you to continue to die. You know, stuff like that. They'll say like rude things about you dying.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, my experience with that, again, especially with 4K, playing on Xbox One X, playing in native 4K, 60 frames per second. Love it. Like all this is doing is hyping me more for Borderlands 3.
Yeah, and by the way, I saw that you pre-ordered it. I'm pumped for it. I saw the little thumbnail for it. Looks really cool. It's that whatever those bandit guys are called with those plastic masks, and he's got roses all around him, and he's holding what looks like a golden grenade of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah, we went all in. We got the $100 version, so we're all set for that. And then the last thing I want to talk about, I do want to talk about this for a little bit, is I finished the Mortal Kombat 11 story.
Okay.
Loved it. I thought it was great. I like I said in the last show, I felt like this was like a AAA experience. Like they've taken, this genre, this fighting game genre, which has always been popular, but it's become more niche now. Like not as many people play it. It's not mainstream fighting games. And I really think Mortal Kombat 11 is the one game that's, well, not Mortal Kombat 11, but the recent Mortal Kombat games, the franchise has really figured out how to get. I see people posting all the time saying, I'm not really into fighters, but I really want to give MK11 a shot, and people will encourage them. Yeah, just put it on very easy and go through the story mode. You're going to love it.
Everyone's whining about the microtransactions. What's your experience with that?
Oh, I think it's I need to talk about that, because I got into it with like Manuel, because he was just like posting trash in the game. I'm like, dude, you don't even play the game, so you actually know nothing, and you're just trashing the games. I don't care his rebuttal was, "Oh, so we're not allowed to talk about it if we don't play it." I'm like, okay, that's juvenile. That's not what I'm saying. What
You
I'm saying
also
is,
just did the female does a guy's voice thing. But go ahead.
but it bothers me when people aren't educated on it. Like, don't go read some negative article or some stupid post on Reddit and just say, this is what's happening. And here, I'll give some backstory on what he was posting. Basically, somebody did the math and said, if you don't play the game at all, but you want to buy everything in the game, it will cost you $6,440, I believe. So tell me that isn't purposely written that way so people go, oh my God, I paid $60 for this game and then I have to pay an additional $6,500 to get everything in it? Or, here's the simple answer, you play the game and then you buy everything with in-game currency, making it free.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Do you think that's why Ed Boon put it in the game? Yeah, that's why he put it in the game. So here's the other complaint, and this is the part where I'm going to come in and give my real opinions on it. I'm not going to be biased and say, well, because I love Mortal Kombat 11, they did nothing wrong. So you can buy everything in-game. You do not have to use real money. The issue is, and this is where a lot of complaints are now coming in as well, is that the grinding is taking too long to get this money to then buy chests that are random and hope that you get something you want. So it's that whole loot bullcrap that you're hearing from Star Wars. Yeah.
Yep.
So what they're saying is they're basically jumping to the conclusion that NetherRealms did this on purpose, WB did this on purpose to get you to buy the real money. I can't say that's what they did. I'm not going to say that's what they did. It is a maybe. Maybe they were like, let's intentionally make it. Nobody will notice. But here's the thing. None of these companies are dumb. They've been called out before. WB's been called out before on this, if you remember Shadow of War. I don't think it's done intentionally. And one of the things before the game even launched, when Ed Boon saw the reviews and he saw everybody's praising this game, but they're saying one thing about it. Hey, your grinding system is out of whack. He immediately came out and said, this is again before the game launched. He was like, we're gonna fix that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the issue. You've got people like me like, first of all, I love Ed Boon. I'm like, yeah, thank you, Ed. I love that. I appreciate that you're doing that. Then you have the conspiracy theorists that are like, Ed Boon did this on purpose so he'd get called out so then he could come in and save the day and so he'd get praised for something he should have done in the first place. I'm not buying that. I don't think that's what happened. I really think this is a system they put in because keep in mind, this is what people don't think about. They want you to play the game. Like, not for a little bit. They want you to play it for a long time. And again, when I say you have to get all the rewards and it's $6,500, we're talking about a ton of crap. And I'm not saying crap in a bad way. I'm saying like a ton of stuff. We're talking about tons and tons of skins, tons and tons of fatalities, concept arts, just stuff that you put on your character that doesn't impact the game at all except
all
for,
aesthetic stuff.
Yeah. Hey, I just want this. Okay? So it's not required. It's just, hey, have fun playing our game, and we're going to reward you for playing it because you're going to go in, you're going to open up this chest, and you're going to get something cool. It's like Christmas. That's how this is designed.
I don't see how it's any more egregious than what Ubisoft has done recently. And I know they come under some fire, but this one seems a little more extreme. So their last two releases that I've been into, Trials Rising and Division 2, they have a ton of loot box type stuff. There are these crates that you open, and they're all aesthetic stuff. But it's fun. You know, it's fun to open a new crate. Hope you get something good, maybe something epic or legendary or whatever it's called.
Kind of the whole point. And everybody's like, it's a scam. It's a ripoff. Who goes into Christmas as a kid and goes, hey, I just want you to tell me everything I'm getting, but go ahead and wrap it. No, the excitement is in what you get. You don't know what you're going to get. And that's kind of the concept they're using here. But everybody's like, no, they just want to hide it so you don't get what you want, so then you keep spending real money. No. They're just like, play the game and get what we give you, and hopefully it's what you want, so you're excited by it.
Well, I mean, Rocket League does the same thing with their champion crates and stuff like that, where it's like, here's all the things that could be in this loot crate.
But
They
you're
give you an
guaranteed
idea,
it.
but you're not guaranteed it. You might get one of the just kind of not gray,
Yeah.
but one of the lesser items.
And-
I do think there's a happy medium that some games could strike, and maybe some do already, and I'm just unaware of them. And I'm sure they
Yeah.
exist already, but I like the idea of having a loot crate system because I do like the surprise and the roll of the dice on getting something
Mhm.
great. I actually don't mind that, and that if I can earn it in game, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
And for those who want to go out and purchase a aesthetic change and set, they should be able to go just to some kind of straight up marketplace and purchase it for a flat price as well. So I think that would be the thing that would balance it out for folks to say, you don't have to participate in the loot box thing at all. If you have a couple options. One, you can just earn it in game.
Yep.
Number two, you could just buy loot boxes if that's what you want to do. Maybe you like a little bit of both, or you can just go right to our shop. Everything we have available in the game is available for purchase. The rare items are going to be more expensive, and so on.
Now, are you saying everything in the game is readily available for purchase with real money? Is that what you're talking about when you can pick what you want?
Yes.
Okay. They're still going to complain about that.
I think they
will
would too, but I
agree.
think that would at least say, hey, you don't have to interact with our loot boxes whatsoever. Like, you don't have to pay real world money to then roll the dice. You can
You
pay
know, I
real
get
world
that.
money to get what
And
you
Mortal Kombat does that. They have like these deals where like, hey, for 500 crystals, you can get this now. But they even tell you, this is actually pretty cool. They'll be like, you can unlock this now for 500 crystals, which is $5, but it's in the crypt. And the crypt is where you keep, that's where all the chests are that you open randomly.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Right.
telling you, you can randomly get this. It's in game. You can buy it for free, or you can pay with crystals. Now the crystals you can earn in the game as well. So you don't even have to buy the crystals with real money. But, and this is part of that grinding, they're very rare and they're hard to get. And it is, I can see, that's why I said I'm going to be objective here. They definitely want you to play the game. I think they're a little crazy with how much they want you to play to reward you. I think they need to come down with a system where it's like you feel like you're unlocking stuff for what you're doing at a good value.
Right.
That's hard because that's subjective. You could make it where I'm happy, but then the person next to me might be like, it's too slow. And I'm like, but I'm unlocking something every 5 seconds. It's too slow.
Well,
Why
some
don't they
games
just
have
unlock
done
everything?
some games have done those aesthetic unlocks. I think Far Cry New Dawn might have done this recently. I can't remember which game it was, but some games have done it where they'll show you the things on some kind of menu. Here's the outfit or whatever that you could unlock, but you have to first achieve this feat. You have to hunt all these kinds of animals, or you have to kill 10 enemies with headshots, or whatever the thing is. So I think there's other ways to do this, the in-game unlocks, that don't necessarily have to make people feel like they're being ripped off. And so I understand the frustration of some folks. Obviously, I haven't played MK11, but I get the gist of what's happening. I'm with you on this for the most part, where it's chill out, everybody. It's fine. I think they're just trying to provide a loot box system that has proven successful for businesses, as well as a lot of players do like it. It's the vocal ones who don't.
Here's the thing. Again, look, you don't have to think I'm smart. Not everybody thinks I'm smart. But the one thing you have to give me credit for is I don't think linear. I try to think things through. And here's what I mean by that. Everybody's like, I paid $60 for this game. I should get everything in the game and not have to pay another dime. That's the logic they use. Okay, and they'll usually bring up the past. That's not how games used to be. You just paid for it and you got everything in it. Now we have to pay for half the campaign and then blah, 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 which is all an exaggeration. Bullcrap. Here's the part they leave out and they forget. These games exist and you buy them and then they keep getting maintenance, updated, and they're online. Right? Do you think online's free? And don't tell me, oh, I pay for Xbox Live. I'm not talking about that. NetherRealm and all these other companies are running these games. They're live. Their servers are live. They're maintaining. They're updating. They're working. It's a continuous project. They're not selling you a cartridge that's offline. You buy it, you put it in your system, and you're done with them. They took your money, and they're done with you. You're done with them. It's not a one-time transaction. You're paying for this game, and then a part of it is online. Now, for me and you, like if you were to play Mortal Kombat 11, I can pretty much guarantee you're not going online, right? You're not.
Right.
I'm not either. So it doesn't really impact us, but there is a huge crowd that plays games online, and they buy these games to play them online. And then those same people will be like, well, I gotta pay more than $60. They're not forcing you to pay more than $60, but they're saying, hey, if you want us to keep this game running, you want to keep our company going, you want us to keep breathing and keep maintaining and adding on and improving things, buy a skin if you like it.
Yeah,
it's $2 or it's $5. Why are you acting like this $60 entitles you to everything? What the $60 entitles you to is what they tell you is in that $60 package. Nothing more. If you feel like that $60 or that content that they're giving you is not worth $60, guess what?
Don't buy it.
You don't pay $60.
And you know, kind of to me, the core of what you're saying goes back to our discussion about easy modes for games, where a lot of folks just want everything in front of them right away. And by the way, that is not the way games used to be. It was, if you're not good enough, you're never going to see whole sections.
You got ripped off. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad for you. If the game's glitchy, also too bad for you. So that's not how games used to be. Like you said, games can be fixed now, and they can be fixed in some cases rather quickly. They can add new content. They can add complete new add-ons, whole new levels and weapons, and they can push that stuff out for free, or they can choose to charge for it if they feel like it's a premium edition.
They just updated Sekiro.
And by the way, by the time you guys are listening to this, Sea of Thieves is putting out their first anniversary update, which sounds surprisingly robust. They're adding a ton of stuff. They're adding a whole new company you can do missions for. They're adding fishing and hunting and stuff like that, where you can do some additional tasks, and they're doing a whole bunch more PvP stuff. So Sea of Thieves would have released and had nothing, but the stuff they've added over the last 12 months has made it a little bit better, and this big update sounds like it's going to do that yet again.
And then the logic from people will be, because I'm not dumb, I've seen this, well, why didn't they just wait and then release it all together? Because they need to make money. Are you not following what I'm saying? You release what is $60, and then to keep it alive and active as a service to get more from you, you pay more. Like
right.
That's what you get. It's the same thing with Netflix. Netflix doesn't charge you $60 up front and you're good for life. No, they're a service, and that's what games are turning into. Hey, pay this if you think this is worth $60. If it's not, just don't pay for it.
Well, and it's not just in gaming. It's not just in gaming and video streaming. It's all kinds of software is doing this now. If you guys get any kind of Adobe products, if you get the Adobe Creative Cloud with things like Photoshop and InVision and stuff like that,
they lock stuff behind it all the time.
Well, it's a subscription service now. So if you subscribe and you have an account, you can now download and use their programs. If you don't, you can download them, but you just can't use them. They'll give you a free trial maybe, but you have to subscribe. Most companies are moving to a subscription-based service because technology is advancing at such a rate that if they don't adjust their models as time goes on, they're going to start losing money. And so video games could cost $80, $90 now, but they don't. They've decided to keep that price where gamers have been used to it for, what has it been? 20 years of games being $59.99 is kind of the standard new game price. I still remember Super Nintendo days going and buying games for like $80.
$75, $80.
Yeah, I remember buying Super Mario RPG and Ogre Battle 64 and stuff like this. I was spending on the regular $79.99. That kind of price was not that uncommon, to get a game. And so I'm not saying that wasn't crazy, because it was. That's one of the reasons I think PS1 demolished the N64. But I do think, I don't want to make it just, hey, the companies have to make money somehow, although that is really valid. The other thing is, I think we're getting a ton of value at these prices that we're getting stuff at. I mean, even if, the funny thing is, a lot of folks who are complaining about this, they're going to trade that game in, or they probably didn't pay full price for it. A lot of them that are saying this, they probably used some sort of deal from somewhere. They traded some stuff in to get it. Maybe they're playing. Is it on PC? Is MK11 on PC?
Yeah.
So maybe they got it on some kind of, what's the name of that PC gaming site?
City Q's. I paid like $70 for the $100 version.
Everyone's getting discounts on everything these days, and sometimes they're even pirating it. Who knows? And all I'm saying is, we get so much value for so much less. I have no problem with the way that most companies have been handling this stuff.
Exactly. I'm cool with calling it out if it's ridiculous. What I'm talking about is when you just call it out and you have no knowledge of it, you're just saying games should be $60. Anything above that is them ripping you off. They're nickel and diming you. It's all conspiracy theorists. And we've talked about this before, and if people would listen to me, companies don't want your business for one game.
No, they don't.
Ed Boon doesn't want you just to buy Mortal Kombat 11. Do you know what Ed Boon wants you to buy? Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 12, Mortal Kombat 13. How do you do that? You build trust. How do you build trust? You don't rip them off.
Well, and that's, you and I talked about this a little bit ago. That's why I think Microsoft
Provide quality.
and all companies, they're going to move towards service and less of a individual hardware purchase. They want you to buy into their platform, their digital platform. And I think that's where we're going to see everything going in the future. I mean, too many companies have had absolute home run successes with this for them not to try it. I mean, Fortnite alone is an amazing case for provide a service for folks that they can essentially dip their toes into and slowly step into, and you can have amazing success. It doesn't have to be the old standard model. And so anyway, all that to say, I understand where you're coming from, and I think I agree with pretty much everything you're saying about chill out on the loot boxes.
I'm really smart.
But I also do understand when people hear loot boxes, their defenses go up at least a little bit. But from what I've seen,
and again, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, from what I've seen and heard,
yourself.
Your MK11 experience, let's just say that they hadn't added any of this loot box stuff in there at all, and none of that extra aesthetic stuff is available. You still have yourself a full-fledged, sounds like, Mortal Kombat game.
100% do. They just are adding something I think is cool, and that's what I talked about.
And it's optional. It's completely optional.
You're like, hey,
have to do that.
You can change the way your character looks, and you can unlock it in game. But again, I do agree on one thing with people complaining about MK11. In my experience, and I've put in 10 hours into the game, it's grindy. But I do think they are going to patch it and fix it and make it a little bit easier. But they're still going to have it grindy. Like there's a reason
grindy, but it's a fighting game. Isn't the whole point just to keep doing match after match after match because it's so fun to play? I thought that was the whole point.
It is. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe I don't get it, but that's what I think the whole point is. I'm glad you're still enjoying MK11 and Borderlands 3. I'm with you. I'm pretty hyped about that. I have been playing a couple little Switch games here and there. I tried. Oh, I got to mention this one, Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen, and playing that quite a bit. Really great game. I mean, it's a little bit Elder Scrolls, a little bit Witcher, a little bit Monster Hunter World. It's a little bit of all these games. It's taking these little pieces from a lot of these really well received and really high quality kind of fantasy action RPGs. It's got a really in-depth system from what I've played so far, at least. Kind of an interesting story, the interesting lore that they set up right at the beginning, if that's your thing. But overall, they drop you in this huge world, tons of stuff to explore, lots of menus to navigate, upgrades and armor to equip and things to level up, skills to level up. And you have 3 main classes to choose from and then some further specializations from there. It's really great, you guys. I highly recommend it.
When I played it, I've played it like 1.5 times. I didn't finish it the second time, but when I played it, what I loved about it is it felt like I was playing like a Lord of the Rings game. Like you were just on this journey in this big open world. And at this time, keep in mind, it's better now, but there was really no fast travel system. That was that's why when you look at reviews, a lot of them were in like the 7s. And 8s, and
this game feels like a better game than a 7 to me. I'll be honest with you. It feels, and by the way, it's 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, I think, something like that. It's not a new game, of course. This is a port to the Switch from a remaster, I think it was, to other consoles.
Yeah, so they had the 360 PS3 version, and then like a year later, maybe a little less than a year, they released like kind of like a game of the year. It's called the Dark Arisen version, and that's the game with improvements to the fast travel plus the DLC, which they added on with the Dark Arisen.
And improvements to the gameplay, to the visuals.
And then they re-released it like a year or so later or probably 2 or 3 years later onto the new consoles.
So I'm playing this on the Switch, and it looks really great. Like as soon as I started playing this and I saw it in action, I thought, let me just get into some battles. Let's see how this really handles this game. And pretty early in the game, you have a couple of large-scale battles against some pretty big monsters. I was fighting a Cyclops, and there was probably 15 NPCs fighting alongside with me. And the game ran really smoothly, and it looked great. The fighting was fun. I played it in handheld mode. I also threw it up onto the screen. In both cases, it looks like, I mean, certain textures look like, oh, this is an older game they remastered. I would say the same thing about Borderlands, the first one, the Game of the Year edition. Certain textures, you can tell it's an older game that they've brought to the new consoles. But I am still overall very impressed with the kind of the distance, the scale you can see, the way monsters look, the way the fighting looks, the animation I think looks really great. Faces are okay. They look a little bit dated, but overall, I'm thoroughly impressed with the way the Switch is handling this. And guys, we're talking about a full-fledged action RPG with the depth of, for the most part, something close to an Elder Scrolls or Witcher 3 in some cases. And it's on the go. It's just right there on your Switch. I think it's only $30. It's an insane value.
Well, definitely. I mean, I own it like on everything. Like I own it. In case you don't remember, I bought it on the PS4, so you actually have access to it on there if you want to see what it looks like on the PS4. But I own it on PS4, PC, Xbox 360, PS3. I'll eventually buy it on the Switch, and I'll probably actually buy it on Xbox One. I wish they would do a 1X.
Like a 4K upgrade,
because I think that game would be easy to just res it up to 4K.
I feel like with the success they've had with this one, I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom announced a Dragon's Dogma 2 at some point this year or early next year.
I hope. I really enjoyed it. I bought it at launch. I took a chance. I remember pre-ordering it at Best Buy, and I was nervous when I went and picked it up because I'm like, I have no idea if this is going to be trash or not.
Great, man. It's really great.
And I ended up absolutely falling in love with it.
Yep, I love this game. I highly recommend it. If that's, I mean, it's a mature action RPG. It's fantastic. It's really fun. So go check that one out.
So speaking of 7 out of 10 games,
hang on, we're gonna get to Days Gone. I do want to mention real quick, if you are a fan of the Picross puzzle games, if you like, do even the written puzzles like Sudoku or whatever. I never got into it. My son loves Sudoku. But I recommend trying out the Picross games. There's 3 of them now. Picross S, 1, 2, and 3 on the Switch. They just released the 3rd one, which adds this new layer of colors to the sections. If you're into Picross, it's really fun. I tried that one out. And then if you like card-based RPGs, and I mean very, very simple RPGs. I don't mean something super complex. A very simple card-based RPG. Check out the new SteamWorld Quest game that just dropped this past week. It's pretty fun. There's some pretty good strategy in it. Basically, you drop into a battle. You have 6 cards you can actively use. Some of them are going to be buffs. Some of them will be regular attacks. Some of them you have to build up your these little gears, kind of like ability points, really, in battle to unleash these larger attacks. It's pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty fun turn-based, card-based RPG. I do recommend it if that sounds appealing to you. Certainly not for everybody, but it is pretty fun. And I would say it's not that much more complex than the little I've played of the South Park RPGs or like Costume Quest. I'm telling you, it's very simple RPG mechanics, and you have like 1 accessory you can equip. So nothing too excessive, but it is pretty fun. Other than that, I've been spending most of my time with this little game called Days Gone, the long-awaited PlayStation 4 exclusive. We've been hearing about it for a long time. When was this game even revealed? Like 4 years ago? I forget.
I think so. It's 3 or 4 years.
It's been a while. So this game has been in the works from Sony's Bend studio for a while, and here it is. It finally arrived. The impressions, like I mentioned last week, seemed to be pretty positive, and then reviews started coming out. And I got to tell you, the reviews for this game are kind of all over the place. You'll have some folks who say, you know, amazing open world game, and they give it a really high score. Some will say disappointing in every way, and have given it as low as like a 3 or a 4. And I just out of 10, and I'm kind of baffled by those scores. So before we get into some of our in-depth impressions of this thing, I've put maybe 7 hours into it over the weekend, over the 3-day weekend. I really enjoy it. I think this is a great game. My 7 to 8 hour experience with it so far, I'm going to say this game is at least worth an 8 out of 10 type ranking. I would compare it to something like a Mad Max, where as long as you go in with expectations that there's going to be some dumb story stuff and the cutscenes will be pretty cheesy, just let some of that stuff go. Some of the voice dialogue is kind of corny, but just enjoy the world they've created and the systems they've put in place. Like with Mad Max, it was like, if you just let yourself enjoy the car combat and the very basic kind of counter-based fisticuffs fighting system, you'll have fun. Same thing here. If you'll just let yourself enjoy the kind of low ammo count with potentially large swarms of zombies coming at you, the motorcycle riding and keeping tabs on how much gas you have. If you can allow yourself to enjoy the systems they've put in place for this game and don't overanalyze it, I really think you'll say this is a pretty good looking game. It's pretty fun to play. Shooting zombies is fun. It's pretty quality. So overall, I think this is I would call it a great game. Not amazing, not perfect, but I think this is a great game.
I think rate's a little too high for me. I mean, I would put it at right now. I'm probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe a little bit more into it, and I would put it in that 6.5 to 7.0 range. I do agree with you for the most part, as far as it does give me that Mad Max vibe. I'm probably going to end up liking this a little bit better than Mad Max. I found Mad Max to be frustrating. I kept jumping back into it, but I could never get hooked. I actually think I could finish this game. I don't know. Didn't somebody say it was like 60 hours long? If that's
Yeah, I'm
true,
not sure if it is or not.
I'm
I'll
out.
I'll look it up
60
while
hours.
you keep sharing your thoughts on it.
But here's my thing. Like, here's why I say it's like a 6.57 to me. I think the voice acting's trash. I think most of the characters are garbage. I think the game looks good from like a distance. So like if you're riding your bike and you're just looking at the world as you're driving, it looks fine. I think it's one of those games when you get up close to things, and when I say things, mainly like humans and stuff, like you see that they're not animated very well. The details are just not that great. Like for me, I'm talking from the get-go. So this is before reviews or anything. As soon as I launched the game, I was like, this feels like a B movie. Like just everything, the presentation, everything. I was like, this does not feel AAA. This feels
Yeah, that
B
opening
all
scene
the
in
way.
the city did not look very good. I don't think the game starts to show some pretty decent visuals until you're out in the wilderness a bit.
It's just the animation and the voice acting.
Yeah.
Like Deacon is terrible. Like he's just boring and stupid. But his sidekick might be worse. And I'm
Boozer?
like, please, yeah, Boozer, please shut up. Like, don't talk anymore.
By the way,
And-
there's only been a couple of folks who have submitted it on how long to beat, but it's saying just under 30 hours is
Okay.
the average.
Okay. I heard
So-
for some reason 60, and I'm like, what?
I think there's probably 60 hours if you do all the side stuff, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But it just feels like lower level. Here's the thing. This is why I think it's getting hate. This is just my theory and my opinion. This is a Sony exclusive. Their standards are extremely high. They've
Sure.
replaced Nintendo for quality as far as for most people. And keep in mind, most people in gaming own a PlayStation over Xbox and a Nintendo. Switch is obviously gaining ground, but the PlayStation 4 is the most popular console. That means they have the most players. That means their exclusives are going to be rated and reviewed and scrutinized by more people than other systems. So, with that being said, the exclusives that we're used to, just off the top of my head, you're The Last of Us, any of the Uncharted games. Recently, I'm forgetting the name.
We have Horizon, of course.
Horizon. That's
Yep.
what I was trying to think of.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Those type of games are
God of War, of course.
God of War. Yeah, they're high level. Like
Yeah.
they're like as soon as you
They're
launch
game of
them,
the year contenders instantly.
exactly, and you can feel in the presentation, the graphics, the gameplay. You're like, this feels AAA.
Yep.
In fact, while I was playing Days Gone, I was like, as I'm playing this, I'm like, this game makes me appreciate the God of Wars and the Uncharted and the Last of Us because this game doesn't do what those games do, and it doesn't do the little things right. It's not detailed. Like you now realize how much these other games like God of War, The Last of Us, all them, how much they go in and tweak. They tweak and they tweak. They're like, nope, that's too loose. That's too loose. This has got to be. This isn't animated correctly. You can tell by the top tier. And Days Gone is one of those games where you realize these guys just made the game, and they were like, we are taking too long, because I don't think Sony Bend is even near the level of talented as these other studios. And they probably realize they just don't have the talent and the ability to make these games as good. That's all I'm saying. It's not to be rude to this game. I'm not hating on it. I already said I think it's a 6.57. I think it's fun. I wouldn't have played it 4 or 5 hours because, again, I don't game that much. Not as much as I used to. So if this wouldn't have hooked me in some way in the beginning, I would have been like, I'm out. I only paid $20 for this. I don't feel bad. At least Tim can enjoy it. But for me, it made me appreciate those other games even more. Horizon, all that, like the quality and the level of detail and the little things that we don't care about until they don't work right in something that we expect to work right. And what I mean by that is, I feel like Days Gone is way too janky and loose with their controls. Like I'll be like trying to aim to shoot and I'll barely touch it and he'll just be like this. I'm like, what are you doing, man? This is a survival game.
That is especially tough when you've got a horde of zombies. By the way, these are the fast type of zombies running at you.
And it's
that can be really tough.
Game, so
and you only get like 50 bullets or whatever. They don't give you a lot of ammo. And so yes.
I will say for a survival game, you can, if you just explore a little bit, you can find ammo. It's not like I have 3 bullets.
No, it's easy. It's easy to find, but when you really want to gear up for, I just had my first encounter with a large swarm that I had to do all kinds of finagling to just survive that. I had to keep taking out a few of them and then running to this water tower that was nearby and climbing up a ladder because they couldn't climb up the ladder after me. Yeah. And I'd throw some Molotov cocktails down at them and then just wait them out till they lost interest and wandered away and then go again. Because I couldn't take on the swarm. I only had like 50-something bullets, maybe 60-something bullets total. And then it was out. And then I was down to my pistol. And then that quickly ran out. And I was like, well, I could just swing my spiked bat at them, but they're going to destroy me. And they destroy you quick. That's one thing I do like about it is when you get swarmed, it is a kind of a pretty cool moment of like, dude, this is impossible to overcome when you really get swarmed. But I would say this, I actually don't think, like the visuals haven't struck me as being that bad once you get out into the forested area. But you're right, up close, you know, some of the bushes and grass and some of the up close textures are not impressive. And when you think about something like Horizon, which I think still had some room for improvement, it was overall a very gorgeous game, visually a great experience. It had its issues with voice acting with certain characters, but most of it was fine. Very intriguing setting. This one, here's the problem with Days Gone, is it's a drab post-apocalyptic zombie setting.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this a dozen times, right? We've seen this a lot in TV shows and in other video games. So I think they're already at a disadvantage to really capture your imagination and draw you in, because there's tons of browns and blacks and grays and all kinds of colors that just bring the whole tone down. And if you play something like Far Cry New Dawn, it's all like pink and bright green and crazy colors everywhere. And so that looks a lot, it's more eye-popping. This one is much more drab. It always looks overcast and rainy. And
because it's in Oregon. So
in my opinion, the deck is already stacked against it. So I cut it some slack to say, for whatever reason, that's the decision that was made. And I kind of wish they would have gone with, hey, we're going to take this zombie apocalypse setting and we're going to flip it on its head a little bit. Maybe it's set in London. I don't know. Set it somewhere different.
Whatever. It just felt too safe. Like they're like, hey, Uncharted and The Last of Us look like this, so let's stick to that. And it's like, no, don't do that.
And they want. Speaking of Uncharted and Last of Us, I pick up on some of the interactions as they kind of wanted Deacon to be the next Nathan Drake type character. Like that's what they were going for, and it just doesn't work. All that being said, to me those feel like nitpicks. Does the driving feel good? Does the shooting feel good? They really incorporate a lot of stealth into this. Does the stealth work? You can upgrade your weapons and upgrade your bike. Does that work? And my answer to most of those things is yes. I think all of that works. I actually think the shooting works great because you can upgrade your guns to help you with some of those aiming issues and things like that. So I think there's enough upgrades over time to improve that. I like some of the RPG elements. You can upgrade your skills. Again, none of it's too earth-shattering. You've got your shooting skills, your melee skills, and your survival skills, and all the upgrades are things you would expect from a game like this. So they're not gonna change the way you look at open world games. I just think they do a good job with it. And so I'm really, really enjoying my time in the world. I've died a few times. One of the things that I would say I don't love about it is, this is weird to say, but in an open world, as I drive around, I feel like if I don't go look at my map and decide where I'm going, there's not a whole lot to do. So a lot of these games that are open world, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go out and go hunting. I'm going to go all these question marks. As you're driving from place to place, a blue question mark will pop up. It might be that one of the rival gangs has kidnapped someone. You could save them. It might be that there's a swarm over there. It might be anything. It could be something to loot. Who knows? So those will pop up as you're traveling, but they quickly disappear if you don't get on them right away. So when you look at your map, I'm just very used to the Ubisoft way of doing things, Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, and even with Horizon, I felt like there was never a shortage of things for me to explore, to hunt, to go take a look at, missions to run. This is lacking in that area a little bit. But now that I've encountered my second settlement, and I've got 2 different settlements, and they're not really friends with each other, as I encounter NPCs, I can send them to one or the other. I can build my trust relationship with them, which then unlocks better gear and better bike upgrades at their main hub. So I'm really enjoying that. I think it scratches that upgrade, open world, action RPG, and zombie killing itch all at the same time. So I'm digging it. I have a feeling it's going to land. You know, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a maybe high 7s, right around to 8 out of 10 for me. And that's kind of where Mad Max ended up landing. A lot of fun. It did a good job with the main stuff it was trying to do, but it didn't really change the way I look at those kinds of games. So
no, and I don't think every game needs to do that. I think it's just as long as it's fun.
I will say this: if this had come out on a Microsoft system, I wonder if the average scores would be higher. If this exact experience had come out somewhere else.
I actually think, you know, and it's not like bias, but I really do think Microsoft games do get crapped on more. But I do think, like I said earlier, I think this game, look, 72 for the amount of reviews is good.
It is good.
It's people are acting like this 72 is a 3. You know, it's like, oh, it's not at Horizon's level. It's not at The Last of Us level. Blah, blah. It's a 72. That's disgusting. And it's like 72. That's pretty good.
No, that's a pretty decent average, right?
That means there's a lot of people giving it 8s, 8.5s. There's just a lot of dummies. Like one reviews a 3 out of 10. Like, really? I don't care if you think it's boring. It's not a broken mess. 3 out of 10 is a broken mess.
Right.
This game is not a broken mess.
Yeah, 3 out of 10 is telling people stay away. This doesn't work.
Yeah, like stay away from this game. Are you serious? You're going to tell me that your experience with this was telling you don't touch this game. Other people shouldn't touch this game. It's that bad. It's not that. I can understand somebody playing it and be like, okay, it's like a 5 out of 10. That's like the lowest I would go, and it's not broken. It's just not good. It's empty. It's boring. Blah blah. Whatever you're looking for. But to me, a 3 out of 10 is like, I just need attention because that's really stupid. Like, objectively, it's not even close to a 3 out of 10. I just don't think it's a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm sorry. All you have to do is compare it to other Sony exclusives and realize it's not at that level.
No, it's not quite at that level, but I do think it's closer than people are giving it credit for. I'm with you on. I think because the game was announced so long ago, and I honestly think they nailed down the visuals years ago. And I think most of what they've been working on has been the gameplay systems, the world itself.
I think that's the weakness, the jankiness. And no, I don't think it's just the RPG.
It's not quite finished in some of those cases, but I'm
really janky. All the movement. It reminds me of The Witcher. Like
I'm not having that much jankiness issues, but then again, I'm a Witcher fanboy. But so are you, so I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah, but I went back and played The Witcher Saturday or Sunday. I just booted up and started playing on Xbox, and I was like, well, I wonder if I should just do another playthrough on the Xbox. And as I was playing, I was like, oh god, you can really feel the jankiness when you haven't played it in a while and you've played other games. You're like, oh gosh, Geralt, just stop, please. Like, you're all over the place. Please stop.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm dealing with Dinkin. Like, yes, you can play it. I'm not dying a lot or anything like that from it. It's just sometimes I feel like I'm fighting like the aiming, because again, these aren't like zombies that are like this. They're moving fast, or even like the enemy AIs, the rival crews and stuff like that. They're moving, and so when I'm trying to aim and my gun's doing this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb, and I'm trying to kill you in one shot, and I can't, so I just start firing, and then I'm like, well, now I have no bullets.
Yeah, no, it
does injured your leg, I think.
It does. There's certainly a loop to this where there's these nests you have to burn out. There's the way you can kill them. You can use these rocks that you can throw to kind of cause distractions or lure them closer to you for a stealth kill. But I can see, and one of the criticisms that came out for it was that it gets repetitive at a certain point, because it is a long game, and it gets repetitive where you're like, okay, I know the mission types. I know how to approach this. I get it. And so I expect that from every open world game. Even some of my favorite ones, I can't tell you that there's never a repetitive moment. There's always going to be some repetitive moments. The bottom line is, do you find it fun? to do a lot of kind of stealth in this open world zombie apocalypse where you have to keep an eye on your bike's gas level, because if you run out of gas, you're kind of screwed till you can go find a gas can. What about the maintenance on it? Have you been ramming too many animals and zombies with it? Is your bike starting to smoke? Do you need to fix it? And also, how's your health doing? Do you have enough materials to create bandages and all that kind of stuff? So if that interests you at all, I think they do a good job at all those things. And I think the game looks fine. Doesn't look amazing. Derek's right. It's not going to blow you away. I would say think it almost looks like a year 1 or year 2 game for the console. It's not up to snuff with.
Yeah, it looks good. I think my biggest issue is a lot of it's the animations and like voice acting, all that stuff that it kind of takes from it. Like, I'll give an example. I think I was playing with you and I was like, World War Z looks pretty good. What I meant was, this is a $40 game that I didn't expect to look this way, but I can still see its flaws. And for the $40 and that it's not like this AAA experience, it looks pretty good. It caught me off guard. Days Gone is different. It's not only more expensive, but this is a AAA experience. So when you go into it, you're expecting it to look good, be animated good, be voice acted good. And that's not what you're going to get. You can feel the lower level once you play it. Again, I'm not saying that to bash it, because I already said I think this is a pretty decent experience so far, but it's not what I wouldn't say expected. I kind of expected it, but it's not what we as a group expected from a Sony exclusive. It's kind of like, what was the game? The Order. I thought it was a good game. It was flawed, but I loved it. I beat it like 3 or 4 times. But it got crapped on. Why? It looked good. Nobody
amazing, yeah.
But it didn't play to the standards that people thought. It wasn't long enough for the standards that people thought. So they nitpicked it, and they were just like, "This is trash." And it just became this trash Sony exclusive that if somebody came up to me and said, you can have any sequel to any franchise, what are you going to do? Right off the top of my head, it's going to be, I want The Order 2. Because I felt like there was so much potential in that.
There is a lot of potential there. It's really
because
cool
it got crapped on so much, I think the sales bombed, and we're never going to get
I don't think the voice acting performances are that bad, but maybe I just am giving them a pass.
I don't think they're like super bad. I'm saying, because even Horizon, I picked on Horizon. There's just some of it, it's like,
some of it's pretty cringy in Horizon, some of those NPCs.
Yeah, some of the NPCs in Horizon were cringy.
The main characters are good.
Characters in Days Gone are cringy to me too. Like,
I think the main characters are good in Horizon. Some of the side characters, it's like, whoa, did you forget to voice this person? And just ask one of your engineers to come in and fill in the gap. And then in Days Gone, I haven't experienced the NPCs are totally forgettable. Who cares? And I would say the main characters are, at least in my opinion, they're close to what they were in Horizon as far as quality of voice acting performances goes. They're not amazing. You're right. And the character Boozer is kind of annoying.
I think Aloy was good, and then the black dude, I forgot his name. He's like
Lance,
a professional dude, so he's amazing.
Lance Reddick, I think.
Yeah, but everybody else was not that good, even main characters. Like the drunk guy, he was always like drunk, and he had
he's like your sidekick dude. His name.
The worst. Like, I wanted to punch him. Like, his lines were dumb. The way he talked, I was like, you are an idiot. Stop talking. But I think that's how I feel about like Deacon and Boozer. Like, are they terrible? Like, if you were to not play this game, listen to me, and then go play it, you would probably be like, Derek, they're not that bad. It's kind of like Ronda Rousey in Mortal Kombat 11. I was told Ronda Rousey was terrible. I then go and listen to her, and I'm like, you're not that bad. Now, as I kept playing the game, I was like, okay, Ronda, you're the low end of this, because everybody else in the Mortal Kombat 11 story is well done. And then you can tell Sonya Blade, not so much.
Dude, we've already talked about Mortal Kombat 11. Stop it. We're done with Mortal Kombat.
Gotta bring it up. But
I will say this. I haven't had the jankiness with the gameplay you're talking about. I have had some issues with some of the story-related conversation that'll kick in. So I get on my bike, I'm heading towards some sort of location for a mission or whatever, and then you get a radio call from somebody and they'll talk. And then that little segment is over. You can tell that whatever triggered that little conversation finished. And then another one starts up. It's almost like the game accidentally triggers things out of order a little bit. So and And there's been several times when Deacon and Boozer have had the same essential conversation 2 or 3 times in a row. It's all about getting that bike fixed up, and as soon as you're ready, we'll head north. Like they've said that 5 or 6 times. And then there was a few times I was riding my bike where they just back to back had these radio calls that were just slightly varied versions of what I had just heard. And it was really strange. And so I feel like when I experience some of the janky and glitchiness, that's where it's been for me, has been like,
just
well,
because Boozer's like your nagging wife. That's all.
It's either that or, again, the game wasn't quite fine-tuned to the point where it should be, where for some reason similar events triggered similar conversations, and it just made for those kind of things do kill the immersion, right? When you're playing something like Horizon or whatever else, God of War, I feel so immersed in those worlds, and the quality, the fine tuning is so amazing. There's not a moment, for the most part, that pulls me out of it. And Days Gone, that's
what I'm talking about with Days.
And so I hear you. I think it's a valid complaint. To me, stuff like Horizon and God of War and Spider-Man, those are up in the 9s. And so for me to say this one's right now floating right around the 8 range, maybe a little below that, maybe like a 7.7 or whatever. It's a high compliment for it, but it's also
don't be too harsh with your 0.3. Like,
yeah, it's also admitting that it's not amazing. I'm not saying it's amazing, but I do think it's pretty great. And if you like open world games, you like zombies, survival related, action RPG type stuff, you're going to get little bits of all that in here, and I recommend it. I do.
Here's my thing: if you are on the fence and like you really wanted to get it day one, like I know there's some people are like Frank Clark, and then another guy was saying that they pre-ordered the collector's edition, and they're like, I don't know if I should go pick it up. Me personally, I tell you no to picking up the collector's edition. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're on the fence that you were really wanting to buy this game, but you got scared by reviewers, I say unless you listen to something in a review that you're like, I totally hate that in a game, then stay away. Other than that, you need to buy this game and get off the fence. You're fine. It's safe. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
If you were already one of those people that were in the camp of, I didn't expect this game to be that great, I was planning on getting it when it's cheaper, stick with that. So what I'm saying is stick with whatever your original gut was. If you were on the fence and you really wanted it, go ahead and get it now. If you were uncertain and were planning to wait.
Yeah,
there's nothing that changes. Like I'm not.
Well, yeah, and it's not a multiplayer game.
Buy it now. No, there's no reason to.
It's not a multiplayer game, so you're not going to miss playing online with anybody or anything like that. So the single player experience will be waiting for you whenever you're ready.
And I do think this one will drop way faster than other Sony exclusives. Meaning, like I think you'll see a sell in a week or two for $40, and I think in a month you'll see it consistent at $40 like all the time on sale. Like you'll be able to get a hard copy or something like that. So this will be a $20 to $40 game within 6 months.
No, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right about that. So overall, I do think it's a solid game. I think it's worth. I don't think it's going to be something that's talked about for very long, on at least on our Game of the Year show at the end of 2019.
I honestly don't even know if I'll even finish it, and then if I don't finish it, I from my first 5 to 6 hours with it, I don't see it as a. If it's in the top 10, it would be like number 10.
Well, and I think except for Sony exclusives, it probably won't make any kind of major lists. It'll probably make the Sony exclusive list. I'm not sure what else Sony even has coming out this year, honestly. So I assume. Oh, get out of here with Dreams. So it'll certainly make that list. But it's funny that you're saying you could see yourself finishing it. For all the praise I just gave it, and I said it's really good and it's worth your time, I am way more into Dragon's Dogma right now. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, I'm probably not going to keep playing it much for this coming week. Will I actually go back to it is the big question. Because games like this can get kind of complex, and understanding your inventory. And
well, you got to look at, like, well, if you're really into Dragon's Dogma, you got a heck of a ride ahead of you, and it's going to be, I would think, for a little while, because the fun of the game isn't about beating it. It's just to keep playing and enjoying the combat and upgrading your character and stuff like that. So you could be doing that for a while. But you got to look at, I would say right now, when I look at my release calendar, we're a little light on games. Like the next exciting game would be Rage 2, I believe, is the next release that I'm like, ooh, can't wait. So that gives me the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more. I don't know when exactly Rage 2 comes out, but next 2 or 3 weeks to play Days Gone if I want to. I'm kind of jumping around everything. The things that have been hooking me has been old games like Borderlands and now Borderlands 2. And I didn't talk about it, but I started pre-sequel. I've already beat pre-sequel, but I started a new game plus basically of that. So I've been getting hooked on older, familiar stuff that I don't have to think. I know the systems. I know what to do. Days Gone, I kind of know the system already, but I still have to think a little bit. And so that really just depends on whether I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm enjoying it enough to say I think I'm going to keep booting it up and playing it. But if it gets to the point where I'm feeling that repetitiveness, then yeah, I might just drop it.
You know, the thing that a game like this needs more than anything else is it needs really compelling characters, maybe some sort of really unique story hook, or just even if the story isn't that unique, just it needs to be very, very high quality. Because again, it's a familiar setting. They're not changing up the zombie post-apocalypse world that we're all used to seeing in many games that much. So I'm hopeful that because they just introduced kind of a new element to it a little bit in a recent story mission I did, but for the most part, I don't find myself caring about Deacon or any of the main characters that
What
much.
if they made Deacon like a positive person? Like we've already played with a Joel and all them that are like, and I get it, they're trying to go for realism, like we've seen stuff. But you know what? There are people that have seen stuff and they can still come out of things, you know, with a half full glass.
Dude, what I would love is if they had someone like Deacon, but he was an extremely positive, joke-making, flamboyantly gay motorcycle rider.
So they just want to just create Derek.
Like, just let him be like one of the guys from that Queer Eye for the Straight Guy show or something like that.
No backwards hat, please.
No, but yeah, the backwards hat. He kind of looks like a douchebag. But yeah, for real though. I mean, I'm obviously being a little facetious, but I don't care if they're gay or straight. Who cares for the video? I just want them to be a unique character, and he's not. And you're right about that.
So what you're saying is you want a guy in like skinny jeans.
I really do. Yeah,
I want a guy in skinny jeans too. It's a great look.
No,
and no, Sasan, I do not apply primer before I paint my jeans on.
That was good. That was really good. You have to admit that was pretty good.
Oh, he always makes me laugh. Yeah. The other day, I said something funny, and he was like, "Oh, you finally said something funny." I was like, "You hurt me, bro. You hurt me." I think I'm funny all the time. I giggle at my stuff all the time.
All right, well, I think that's it for us. That's all we've got to talk about, I believe, unless I'm forgetting something.
It's my bedtime. It's 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. So
you go to bed. I'm gonna go downstairs and watch a show before I fall asleep. That's it. That's it for this week. If it sounds interesting to you, go check out Days Gone. Otherwise, save your pennies.
I would say you and I, we both had positive. Like we nitpicked it. I nitpicked it more than you, but I'd say overall we had positive vibes about the game.
Yeah. Yep, I totally agree with that. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Derek, thanks for staying up a little bit later, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
All right, good night.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?